Hello, good morning, and welcome to this edition of the Shelf Scan Podcast, episode 3, I believe. This podcast is all about things going on in the Ionia Community Library and how it has to do with the community surrounding the Ionia Community Library. Any other communities, bow down before our superiority and learn from how good we are at literally everything.
Yes, we are definitely masters of podcasting.
Yeah.
If you listen, you will learn from us.
Superior
Guaranteed.
audio quality.
Yes. And I'm Shani, by the way.
Yes, and this is Mr. Mike. And so we're going to talk about a couple of things, a couple of fun things today. What should we start out with? What do you want to talk about? How about what's happening here? What's going on at the library today?
What is going on at the library today? Well, hey, today we have got new teen takeout bags.
Yes.
We've got our make and takes, grab and goes. I think they're called grab and goes. It is for the St. Patrick's Day. So that's what I've got new today. Got new stuff coming on the horizon all the time. Every Friday, something new is released.
What is in the grab and go for teens this month?
This month, the grab and go is for March. It's St. Patrick's Day, and so there's leprechaun bait. There's golf ball balancing, which is pretty cool. So you get some golf balls to try to balance. There's a cootie catcher in there. There's all kinds of stuff. Tattoos. There's a necklace so you can wear so you don't get pinched. So a lot of different fun things.
Sounds fun. Yeah,
It is.
You always put together some really neat stuff. I aspire to make mine as good as yours.
I scramble at the last minute, believe me. Then I keep buying stuff and putting it in there.
Yeah, there's like cool food, and you've got like your bags are like labeled and with like cool stickers and stuff.
Oh,
and,
yeah. It's bribery. It's bribery.
Yeah, it is. It's the library business.
Yeah.
Bribe them to get here.
We always say in the library business, if you want them to come, you must feed them.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, especially when you get to middle and high school. It
Oh,
seems.
yeah,
Food
exactly.
is the primary motivator.
Yeah, because the little kids, their parents bring them here. The adults come because they want to come here. The teens come, well, because they want some food. You know, you have a handful of teens who really generally absolutely love to read, and they're the ones who want those books. But to come for programs or anything else, they don't want to hang out at the library.
Right. And before COVID, you had a drawer that was full of snacks.
Oh, yeah.
Fruit snacks and granola bars and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were feeding the kids every day
They had
after
snack
school.
time.
Yep, they had snack time. So,
Well, on Monday, the March Take and Make for the little ones, that's March 1st, comes out, and we are making a flower jar with 3 yarn-wrapped tulips. You get 3 cardboard tulips that you can, in 3 different colors of yarn, 3 popsicle sticks, a green marker, some green tissue paper to shove in the jar, and the jar.
oh, yeah. And it's awesome looking. It really is. It
It's
looks
pretty
very
cute.
cool. Yes. Yep. It's a great crafted. I think kids of all ages can do that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Especially with help. That's why I try to design them the way I do. That's why there's no like, oh, make this closed circuit flashlight, or use these LED bulbs, or here's some chemistry, is because I want them to be done by a 2 or a 3-year-old with their parents' help. But I want somebody who's a little older to be able to at least have fun doing it.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it's a decent. I try to keep it somewhere in the middle.
See, that's what with me. We also have our teen takeouts, which happen on the second Friday of every month. And I've tried to do the same thing, is to reach those kids who may not have all the other supplies in their cabinet. So like the first one was ramen. So, I mean, you could do so many things with ramen. The next one was Velveeta cheese. So you could do anything as simple as chips and cheese. This month got a little bit more difficult, or simpler, I guess, depending on what you like to do. But we have, well, it's still a surprise, but it's chocolate chips. So we have got all kinds of things being submitted that have been shown up on Facebook. So they're getting a little bit more in depth now with their cooking.
Yeah, I have to ask. They all looked really good this time. The ones that were submitted, the chocolate ones. What was the deal with the bowl that had a face in it?
Oh,
What was that?
that was submitted by a young man named Levi. And what he tried to do was, he has these cookie cutters that are solid on the bottom. And what he tried to do was put caramel in it and put chocolate chips. Thought if he put it in the refrigerator, it would set up and be like a hard caramel with
Okay.
chocolate chips in it. But it never set up. So it was just kind of a liquid caramel in there.
Oh,
but I
okay.
had to, he also did a corn muffin with chocolate chips in it. So I just had to include that though, because it was pretty awesome looking. It took me a minute to figure out what was going on.
I didn't know what it was. I'm like, wow, did somebody make like a chocolate soup?
Yeah.
Or is this like a gelatin or something?
Yeah.
It was odd looking, but it was creative.
Oh, yeah.
It was different.
Exactly.
So what are you gonna do?
And he didn't give up. That was his first try.
Okay.
Didn't give up, so then he went to something else.
Yeah, all right,
So,
right on.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So okay, we did the teen takeouts. We did the take and makes that we have coming out either today or on Monday. The winter reading programs are still going on for kids and adults. You can still register and you can still read and compete all the way through March 25th for the adult one, and then the end of March the 31st for the kid one.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's very easy. You can find details on our website. You can find details on the Facebook page. You can find details by calling us. I mean, we make it real easy to get this information.
Exactly. And if you're not a phone person, we have texting. So just go to our website, Facebook page. There's a phone number on there. You can text us, and we will get back with you as soon as we can.
Yep. We're also very excited to be building book bundles now, where you can go to the website and submit a form, or you can even call us. And if there's a favorite author or a group of books that you want and you're not comfortable coming into the library, or you just don't have time, we will grab an amount of books designated by you in packs, like 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 10. You pick the author or theme that you want to try, and then we'll pull the books off the shelf for you and then give you a text or a call when they're ready. And then you have the option of choosing. Do we bring it out to you via curbside, or do you come into the library to pick up your book bundle?
Yes, this has been so exciting and so much fun for me, because you get to look at different things that you might not want to normally read. And people call, they fill out the form and they want, and it really stretches a store's limits, because sometimes they want a mystery, but they want it to be inspirational, or they want it to be an action-packed romance. So, I mean, sometimes it's making us work, which we love, because we're finding different books on the shelves to fit your needs.
Sure, and this is for all ages. So, one thing I thought about with the littles, if you are a parent and you've got 3 very young ones and it's cold and you don't want to get out of the car, you don't want to deal with the car seat, you don't want to deal with buckling and unbuckling and getting the stroller out of the car, pushing it through the snow and coming up into the library. That's the type of person that would really benefit from having a book bundle, because it'd be so easy to pull up, let us know you're here, we run them out to you, and then you're on your way. You're on your way to wherever you got to go next. It's one less rigmarole to go through.
Oh, exactly. I can't imagine when I had little kids, it would have been so awesome to just fill out a form and say, hey, my son wants trucks, my daughter wants fairy tales, I need, like you said, 5 to 7 books. And just when you pull up out here, give us a call. That's the big thing I would say, is give us a call so we know you're here. And we'll run those right out to you. Like Mike said, you don't have to get them out of the car seat. You don't have to fight with them. Hopefully in the future, we're welcoming you back in the building with open arms. We miss you. But right now, we understand. It's cold out. It's snowy. There's COVID. There's masks. We're trying to get the books in your hands.
The last thing I want to mention is the upcoming county-wide scavenger hunt. I'm not going to give away too many details now, but in the month of March, we're going to start advertising this, and there's going to be different prizes for our home patrons here at the library, but you can also do the scavenger hunt in the other Ionia County library areas like Lake Odessa, Belding, Saranac, Clarksville, and Portland to get other books. You get a different book at each library where you complete their scavenger hunt. So all in all, you would get a collection of 6 brand new picture books for your whatever kiddo completes the scavenger hunt with you. And you'd find these window clings in local businesses around our downtown and around the other areas. And I know I said I wasn't going to give you many details, but I just basically give you
all the details.
All the details. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, we can always edit that out, right? Right.
Yeah,
No.
look for that. Look for that coming in April and May.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to run it.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. And I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but we do have a teen and tween. So anybody grades 6 or 12, we have a mug club coming up, which is awesome. For the first 12, we're going to give you a mug. After that, if you want to do it, Just say, I want the Mug Club ingredients. On the first Friday of each month, you're going to get the stuff to make a mug cake. And let me tell you, I couldn't believe how simple it was. I made one for my husband, and it's a couple tablespoons of cake mix, a couple tablespoons of water, mix it up, throw it in the microwave, bam, you've got a cake. It is amazing. And I can't wait for the kids to do this and try this at home.
Yeah, I wish I could have. I want one. They sound really good, and they're very easy. It's a very creative way. Plus, they get to keep the mug, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So they get the mug, and it's got the TNT logo on it for tweens and teens. So, and it's got Mug Club on it. So that's pretty cool. But again, in the future, if you don't happen to get a mug, doesn't mean that you can't participate in the Mug Club.
Sure.
So
you'll have what is that, every month then?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first Friday of every month, you can just stop in and pick up the ingredients. Like I said, use your own mug, and it's going to be awesome.
Cool. All right, well, that's the happenings for the Ionia Community Library. We're going to transition, and we're going to talk about the top 5 read aloud tips for parents. Tip number 1. The best time to start reading to your child is from the very start, when he or she is a baby. Now, tip number 2. Your kids are never too old for read-alouds. I say that to kids in elementary school all the time, especially 4th and 5th graders when I read them picture books. You're never too old to enjoy a good picture book. There's always time to pull one off the shelf. Even if it's for nostalgia value, you still can enjoy a good picture book. And my son will be 12 in April. Oh boy. And he still wants us to read to him every night. We still do it. And so, no, they're never too old for you to read to them. Tip number 3, there's nothing wrong with reading the same book over and over and over again. It might seem like it's something wrong with it, but trust me, there's nothing wrong with reading it. They still are listening to you read in a competent manner, and you're providing a good example of what reading should sound like. There have been a few books that I have vanished from our house, but I read them plenty of times before that finally happened. Tip number 4, identify read-aloud challenges and fix them. Perhaps if you find that you stutter over your words or you get nervous, you practice by yourself. Read it ahead of time so you're already familiar with the text before you open up to the next chapter. And number 5, if your child is beginning to read on his or her own but still wants you to read aloud, keep reading. They're going to need guidance to help them get better as readers all through their school days. And so just because they've started to read on their own is not an excuse for you to not read to them anymore. It's still very beneficial. Trust me, I'm a professional.
He is a professional, folks. Don't try this at home. I just wanted to. Just wanted to say too that I noticed when my kids got older and we would travel to go on a trip or something, that we would get audiobooks and we could all listen as a family. So even though you don't have the book right there in front of you, you're traveling in a car, you still have that availability. Hey, I'd like to talk about a couple of books.
Sure, yes,
if that's okay. We got time for that.
That'd be great.
All right. Hey, so a couple of years ago, as the One County book, we did The Hate U Give, and it starred Star Carter, and her dad was Mav Carter, and I don't know if anybody else wondered, but you wondered what happened to him and his friend King. Well, Angie Thomas has written a prequel, so we go back to 1988 Garden Heights, and it's called Concrete Rose, and that book looks so good. I can't wait to read that. Also wanted to really mention The Desolation of Devil's Acre by Ransom Riggs. That is going to be the last one in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, I believe it's called. I can't remember the name of it ever. Peculiar Children, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, so again, we're real professional here. You can learn from us. But that book is the last one in that series, and that's coming out. So I can't wait for that.
One new book that I got that I pulled off the shelf, the book was published in September, but I got it in February, was the book. It's a graphic novel called Lightfall Book 1, The Girl and the Galdurian. And I have not been as excited for a kid's book like this in some time. This is really great. I even, it went back out yesterday. I put it on the shelf. I even attached a sticky note to it that I wrote on, "This book is awesome," / Mr. Mike. And it went out. Like within a couple of hours, it was gone.
Yeah.
It's about this girl named Bee, and she lives with her uncle, who is a pig wizard, in his potion shop, and she helps him with his business. She goes out into the forest, and she is gathering up reagents for his potions. And she falls out of a tree, and she's caught by this big frog-type guy, and who's revealed to be a Galdurian. But what's interesting is the Galdurians are supposed to be all gone. So he claims he is one. So he offers to escort her back to her uncle's potion shop, but Uncle is gone. Uncle has memory problems and gets confused sometimes, so they decide that they should probably go out and look for him. And from there, adventure and hilarity ensue. These illustrations are so beautiful, you will feel like you are right there alongside them. And one thing that they deal with in this book is the main character suffers from anxiety, and the way that they portray this is when a decision under duress needs to be made, you start to see these little black tendrils creep up around her as she starts to get nervous. And as things intensify and her anxiety gets more and more intense, the black tendrils start to overtake her body, and they put in speech bubbles all the different questions that she's running through her own head in response to a situation that's happening. My wife and I both suffer from bouts of anxiety, and we both agree that it was a very accurate portrayal of what that feeling is like. And in general, I didn't have any problems with this book, which is rare. Normally, there are things that I critically think about and that I don't like. There's only one thing. In the book, they never show the Galdurian who can use a sword. They never show him training the girl how to use a weapon, right? But in the end, when the bad guys come, and the bad guys actually win for a change, which is awesome because I get tired of kids' books where the bad guys get curb stomped every volume, and the bad guys are never really in danger. Let's not kid ourselves. But they actually lose. They actually get beat up. But when the bad guys attack, she's able to pull out her dagger and parry a bunch of sword strikes. And I'm like, for real? She didn't know how to do that. You never showed that she was capable of doing that. If she could do that, why is the warrior guy getting beat up? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, outside of that, I loved it, and it was great. And it is probably best anywhere from 2nd to 5th grade, I think, is really going to enjoy that book. If you're a fan of graphic novels or fantasy in general, older kids would like it as well. Back to you.
All right. Hey, did we want to segue into graphic and manga?
Yeah, let's talk about manga.
Yeah. We've been debating a little bit because I always called it manga. The teens who come into the library have informed me that it is manga. Mike looked it up today, and I believe, is it Webster's?
Dictionary.com.
Dictionary.com, yeah, they say that it is manga. So whichever you prefer to say, it's appropriate. I'm going to go with it. I don't correct anybody. But I want to let you guys know. So you want to start reading it. Basically, manga is read right to left. And it is usually in black and white. If it's special, then they color it. But what they do is it's coming out of Japan, and what they do is they release, usually I think it's Shonen Weekly Jump. They do, or Weekly Shonen Jump. They do series. They put out these comics or graphics or manga, and then if they're really popular, then they bind them together and put them into a book, and they create a series. Which I didn't realize that. So it's a little bit like comic strips, I guess. But basically what manga is stuff coming out of Japan.
Yeah, and the reason it is read right to left, when you have to start on what you would normally over here consider the back cover. You have to open it from the back and read it, in the Western world, it would be considered reading backwards. But in Japan, that's how they read. So it's not only are these are they fun to read, it's a decent way to get interested in another country's culture without actually visiting there. If you can read their writing, you get a sense of a little bit of what some people are like over there. I don't want to generalize because I have friends who don't like that, because not all when you go to Japan, it's not like what you see in manga.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different place. Now you do have to be careful when selecting manga, especially for your kids.
That is for sure, especially in the teen room.
Because a lot of manga, a lot of it is geared toward adults, and so while it's appropriate for older teens and young adults, some of the content is very adult, and you have to be careful when allowing your kids to look at it. But that's up to your discretion, not mine.
Right. And I did some research today because I thought we were going to talk about this, and there's 5 different types of manga.
Okay.
I had no idea. So the shonen, which is what we pretty much have here, and it is the manga that's targeted at tween and teen boys. That's your Dragon Ball, My Hero Academia, you know, those kinds of ones. There's also, and I'm probably going to slaughter these names, but is it shoujo, which is marketed and targeted at tween and teen girls.
I don't know. Does Phoenix know?
She might.
She
I
over
don't
there?
know. Yeah, but that's going to be like your Sailor Moon. You know, it's got a little romance in it type things.
Fruits Basket.
Fruits Basket, I
Is
bet
that
would
one?
fall in there. Yeah. Yep. Then
Those
when
are
we
the other
start
ones I know.
going into the ones that we really don't have in this building, you might have a couple of the teen ones that are going to be, you know, fall into this. But you've got is it seinen, which is targeted at adult men, and then you have josei, which is targeted at adult women.
Okay.
And again, those are available through interlibrary loan. We just don't have them here. We don't have any breakout sections here for those. But the part that we're getting into at the library is, do you remember what it was called, Mike?
Kodomomoke?
Yes,
Hey.
exactly. Yes, which is targeted at young children, which is what we're starting to get a couple of those books.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids are seeing their older siblings read those, and we know that the teen ones are not appropriate for them.
Yeah.
So Mr. Mike is, you know, getting some of those in his collection to see how they're going.
I'm hoping that they start to pick up. There's one series that I got called Cheese Sweet Home, which is, I got 4 omnibus collections of the different volumes. So they're big books, but they're collections of smaller Cheese Sweet Home. And it's all about this adorable little cat who basically just does cat things and has cat type adventures. The whole first book is they find this kitten, this family does, and they bring it into their house, but they're not supposed to have animals. So they try to hide Chi from their landlord, and she basically like escapes from being evicted from the apartment just by being a cat, essentially. And it's adorable. The illustrations are very cutesy on purpose. The text is very simple. I got it from my 8-year-old who has been obsessed with cats since he's been about 2 years old, and he just eats it up. He goes through them in a couple of days.
Right. And I think Mike and I are both of the same mind that your kids are reading. We really don't care what they're reading. We don't censor what the kids read. We encourage them to read anything. You want to read the back of cereal boxes? Read the back of cereal boxes.
Yep.
But for the people who think that manga or graphic novels are not reading or whatever, oh no, this is definitely reading, and you should be proud of your kids and happy
Yeah.
that they're doing this. So again, this is just a step for these kids maybe to read some other stuff, but I think it's wonderful.
There's a guy I know that my wife used to work with at Barnes & Noble. His name is Terry, and he was a longtime middle school teacher in Grand Rapids Public Schools, and then he retired and worked at Barnes & Noble. She'll tell you that he was the most voracious reader she had ever met in her entire life. And that's saying something, because she is the most voracious reader I've ever met. And he said when he was young, he hated reading. And the only thing he ever wanted to read was superhero comic books. And as he grew up and got interested in other things, he read and read and read and read. And so you can't say, oh, they read comic books, they're not going to read regular books. That's just not, those things don't correlate. Anything that they want to pick up and read. Like right now, my youngest son, the one who likes these manga, is reading the manga, and he's reading Calvin and Hobbes collections. Yeah, he doesn't understand some of the things that Calvin talks about in some of those, because it's a little sophisticated, but he does enjoy them. and he does spend his time reading them, so who am I to complain?
Oh, when I was a
There's-
kid his age, I loved Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, I read a lot of them too.
Yeah, and I really think that, again, they are reading. And you've got these kids who don't like to read. We've got a staff member here whose teenage son does not like to read. He does not. But guess what? He is reading the manga.
Right.
And he's enjoying it, and he can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
You know, I
It's-
mean, you can't beat that.
No.
You just can't. If your kids, you know, and everybody has to find, if they always say if you don't like to read, it's because you haven't found the right book yet. So this could be that right book.
Could be that book.
Yes.
Manga could be what gets them into being a reader. And from that, you just never know. Maybe they're going to continue to read comics and manga their entire life, and that's fine. But maybe they're going to get interested in something else, and they're going to start picking up books on it.
Right. We've also started kind of stickering things a little differently here because we had some comic stickers, and we realized that these books really truly aren't comic books. We do have some comic books, but they're graphic novels, which people get confused often with graphic novels and manga. Again, manga is usually coming out of Japan, read from the back to the front. And graphic novels are going to be more like your Spider-Man, your Superman, those kinds of books. There are classic manga. There are historical figure. They've redone the whole genre of graphic novels.
Yeah, and it's not going away. They started to pick up in popularity, I want to say 4, maybe 5 years ago, and it's just not stopping.
No.
More and more graphic novels are getting published. And no, a comic is a single issue. And over the single issues, they tell a whole story. A graphic novel tells the whole story in one volume, in one larger book. And then there might be chapters. There might be different books, but it's not small issues that get released weekly or whatever. It gets
Right,
all
like
released at the same time.
we talked about Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah,
That's
right.
a comic. Snoopy,
Yeah.
Charlie Brown, Peanuts, those are comics. Which, you know, goes to say Spider-Man can be a comic,
Yep.
but it can also be a graphic novel.
Yes.
Like like Mike said, it's a whole story in one section.
Yep.
So, and you can find all of those here at your local Ionia Community Library. But it's amazing sometimes. The kids, they like to watch those Marvel movies. Well, they can read the books also.
Yeah, I agree. What was I going to say? Oh, and with kids' graphic novels, and even with teen, I noticed in the last couple of years too, there's a wider variety of topics covered. So all graphic novels are not superhero stories. All graphic novels are not fantasy or magic or anything like that. A big trend in kids' literature is the girls' real-life growing up semi-autobiographical graphic novel from like Jennifer Holm, who does the Sunny series, Victoria Jameson does the Roller Girl, and oh gosh, I can't remember, the All's Fair, I think it's called, where the girl lives with the Renaissance Fair family and is homeschooled and then tries to go to middle school. And then there is Shannon Hale has one, the Raina Telgemeier, extremely popular books. So yeah, that's a big trend. The girl who grows up and what her life is like as a kid, graphic
Yeah.
novel.
Yes. Yep. And they're out there and they're for everyone. If you have any questions, just ask us.
Yep.
Again, have us put a book bundle together for you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that way you can try it.
Well, I think with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of the Shelf Scan podcast. I hope that you heard something interesting or something that you can use, and we will talk to you next time. For Miss Shaney and myself, have a great day.
Goodbye.